Pnc News First is presented by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Pizza Hut, we're taking pizza to where it's never been before. Taco Bell, the only place where you live Moss. Colgate, the #1 brand recommended by dentists. And IT&D.
PNC News First, broadcasting live in high definition from Tumon, Guam, on KEQI and KTGM, and on KPPI on Saipan. Here is your PNC News team.
Well, half a day and good evening. You're watching PNC News First. We are live from the Broadcast Center in Akanta. I'm Jolene Tovis. Thanks for joining us. Topping our newscast tonight, the trial concerning 2 young men who are accused of being involved with the Manilao Machete incident did not move forward today with opening statements as intended and has been delayed until next week. Superior Court Judge Vernon Perez delayed the proceedings as the court waited for critical information regarding one of the associated parties. While the reason for the delay was not provided, Perez stated that 1-day delay could possibly be longer and that the court would have a better idea of how to proceed by the end of today. Because the case has incited extensive media coverage, Perez sternly warned the jurors to not engage in any information relating to the trial so that their judgment would not be compromised. According to Perez, opening statements for the trial are set for Monday morning at 9:45. Taking a look at education, a shortfall in the latest budget bill has raised some concern about higher education accessibility in some University of Guam students. Let's check in with PNC's Amanda Dedicatoria for more.
Half a day, I'm Amanda Dedicatoria with the Pacific News Center, and the University of Guam's new semester has just started. As these students file into their classes, concerns about a potential increase in tuition have been raised. With $27 million slated for UOG's general fund appropriation in the latest version of Senator Joe San Agustin's fiscal year 2020 budget bill, the $6 million shortfall may entail a tuition increase of around 30%. With around half of its students relying on federal financial aid, Evander de Guzman, a student committee member at the university, says that such an increase could limit access to higher education.
If the tuition is going to increase at such a large margin, I believe that, enrollment and student retention are going to decrease within the years.
Other students, such as Anthony Regis, expressed their concerns about how a potential increase could affect them and stressed the importance of obtaining a higher education.
It's because I see how much my parents have struggled to raise 4 children, and I just want to be able to get a better job so that I don't have to go through the struggles they went through.
According to UOG President Dr. Thomas Kreis, the shortfall would place limits on the university's capacity as a research institution. He also added that the university's budget request of $33.9 million is not an inflated request, but one that avoids such an increase in tuition.
So we can do this and we can do more, but the decline in the allotments over the last 4 years and the declining support in the appropriation has imperiled all of that great potential for more resources coming in.
Kreis also notes that many of the region's public figures are UOG alumni and that the university is essential to solving many of the issues present in the Marianas. In lieu of this issue, Senator Amanda Shelton introduced Bill 197-35 earlier this week, which would enable UOG to achieve long-term fiscal security through public-private partnerships.
I think that the University of Guam has shown a long track record that they're able to do this, that they're able to handle these types of responsibilities, and as they grow, we need to continue to support their needs and make sure that we're doing what's best for the students and our entire community.
Amanda Dedicatoria, PNC News.
Thanks, Amanda, for that report. Shifting our focus to crime, within this age of technology, it's not just friends that your phone has brought you closer to, but potentially those who may want your information. Are you protecting yourself from becoming a victim of cybercrime? Let's take a look. 13 degrees north, 144 degrees east in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, Guam is often depicted as a tiny speck on maps. jobs. But as tiny as our island is when it comes to cybercrime, we are as vulnerable as anyone in the U.S. or the rest of the world. PNC sat down with FBI spokeswoman Michelle Ernst, who shares that proximity doesn't matter when it comes to cybercrime and cybercriminals. Respect no boundaries.
Someone here on Guam is as vulnerable as someone in New York, Hawaii, you name it, anywhere in the world. If you are connected to the internet, then cyber criminals and malicious actors have reason or have a capability to try to steal your information.
In this day and age, a large number of people's lives play out online on various social media platforms. We share pictures, routines, likes, and dislikes, and while this may seem harmless, many even share personal information or identifiers, making it fairly easy for cyber criminals to gain access to information which may not have been accessible previously.
We really want to urge everyone to be cautious when it comes to giving out your personal information, because, as you had mentioned, our lives are online. We have our banking information, our personal information with all of our PII and personal identifiers. We have our health information, our families, our photos. So much of our lives are right there on the internet. And so if bad actors are able to get a hold of that information, they can do great damage.
Protecting yourself means knowing the different steps, taking the initiative to be suspicious about any kind of emails or anyone trying to solicit you for information, even your phone numbers. You need to be aware of who has access to your information and access to your devices. Prevention is key. Next is detection, because according to Ernst, if you are in the recovery mode, then you're probably on the losing end. And by this time, it's hard to claw back everything to be whole again. She stresses, quote, "It's important to be wary of any unsolicited email or unsolicited communication with someone. Don't ever give out your personal information, especially if they are the ones contacting you first. If you do find yourself in some type of transaction where you do want to provide your personal information and you're legitimately interested, try to ensure that you are able to contact them," end quote. Make sure you initiate the call, get their number, and do your homework. While this may take a lot of work, she says people need to slow down and put up their defenses and always be wary. As technology evolves, criminals evolve. Ernst says cyber criminals are getting very good. They've learned what tips people off, and so they are very motivated to get a hold of your information and your money.
Some other things you can do is, especially a lot of people, the biggest fear is getting hit in the pocketbook. And so make sure you're checking your monthly statements, looking for anything that's unusual. You want to, once a year, make sure that you're getting your credit checked, and do it from a reputable place. There's a lot of places out there that that do scams that have to do with soliciting people to get their credit check. Cybercrime runs the gamut. There are so many scams out there, and people are getting more and more creative every day, and that is why the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, we work with all of the law enforcement partners to work together to try to stay ahead of this threat, because it is so fast-moving and widespread.
Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, GVB looks at some visitor trends, and Docomo Pacific's 5G test lab has its first case. Those stories and more. See you on the other side of the break.